Kalimera, Kalispera, wherever time you're watching. This is Mappa. I'm Stel. This is Thasso. How you doing, Thasso Mo?
As you can see, a million gochinos. A little bit
It's
of red,
okay.
bit of a beetroot, panjari.
You are enjoying the sun. That is the main thing.
April sun, man's not supposed to do this. Look at this. Ugh. Ugh. Anyway.
I'm not going to put that in the outtakes. Blimey, it's been a busy weekend of football in Cyprus. There's quite a bit to talk about, not just with the match reviews. But before we go into this, I want the Greek-speaking This Is Mappa fans to tune in on Thursday for our episode with Konstantinos Nikolaou from 24 Sports. We had an interesting conversation about youth development and the future of Cypriot football, especially discussing players from the UK and all over the world that qualify for the Cypriot national team. And we also had a surprise guest being Mike Pieri, the former chairman of OMONOIA Youth, a club that won Grassroots Team of the Year 2 years ago. So the best grassroots team in the UK, which is made up of many, many Cypriots. So that's one to definitely look out for. But I think we better get cracking with the football, Mr. Thasso. And let's go with a Group B classic, mate. This one, wowzers, blink and you missed it. ANORTHOSIS 4, Salamina 4. ANORTHOSIS were 4-1 up with 20 minutes to go. And I think this second half performance, or should I say that capitulation, practically sums up ANORTHOSIS season, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. Like how the way that they kind of fell apart following. I don't even think Nia Salamina made many changes. It was just, I think, a drop in concentration because they were so far in front, and it just all fell apart for them, didn't they? I mean, if we go just talk about the goals one by one. So Doregaray again, your favourite Doregaray gets in there, gets the first goal. Again, no
he's a
defence
follower
inside.
on our Instagram. He's a follower on our Instagram. Might I add? Yeah, remember that?
Yeah. I will. I'll only say good things about him then.
There you go.
But yeah, ANORTHOSIS' first goal again. It was, and the second goal is like, Salamina were trying to prove who could be the worst defender. Like the amount of decisions. Like, we picked them up so much, kind of like before Christmas. How good they are as defenders, and then these first two goals that ANORTHOSIS scored, been absolute terrible decisions defensively. Now, Baroudis, there was some great work by the ANORTHOSIS attack. A lot of lovely work done there. The second one, ANORTHOSIS goals, great finish from Guerrero, is the one we're looking at the moment. It just finds the side netting from that far to the side as well. Good technique. But yeah, the Nea Salamina defense could not deal in the first half with ANORTHOSIS' attack. Especially Mraz, it was all over. It was everywhere. Every chance he had something to do with it. He does get the goal he deserved in that second half, but again, somebody in the Nea Salamina defense needs shooting. This time it's Gisas. He should be able to get to that. The goalkeeper, he should be able to reach that, and he just doesn't. Sorry, I just saw his face there for a second. The guy looks like he's a granddad. Did you see?
Mate, I would be having kittens with that centre back because Mraz has just taken 3 steps back and he's created 10 yards of space.
It's again, it's a defensive horror show from Salamina. The penalty, of course, it's a penalty. There's no argument. You can see he's not arguing. Whatever he's doing, he's not arguing. It's I mean, you could argue that Barudis kind of leans into it and he's expecting the leg to be trailing out there, so he leaves his leg in as he's going down. But you shouldn't be having your leg there in the first place to for the player to fall over it.
At 4-1 with half an hour to go, you're thinking this could be 6, 7, or 8, don't you? But then Gumuri said, no, not going to happen. Not going to happen, mate. Not on my watch.
Yeah, and he was like a man on fire, wasn't he? It's a great finish again from a really, really tight angle. Loria, if he was any other goalkeeper, you'd expect him to deal with that a bit better. But Loria has had so many clangers this season. Right, so that's onside. There's 2 lines there, but for some reason they decided to use a green line on a grass pitch. What the hell is that about?
Don't talk about lines.
Anyway, again, Gulmoris basically showed up. ANORTHOSIS' defense didn't know what to do about him, so obviously he gets it.
Keeper needs to save that. I'm sorry. Keeper needs to save that.
Again, Loria this season, somebody with the experience that he has, he's had like a whole season. The whole season he's been terrible.
Yeah,
he's been, and I don't know what's gone on there, but we've been talking about the Cypriot youth. Geravnos, there's another Cypriot goalkeeper who's second. His second goalkeeper should be playing. He should be playing because Loria has been terrible. Anyway, you've got the fourth goal going in. What was it?
My guy, Flori Dolmes. Come on now. Come on, my guy. 2 goals in 2 games. That's it. Poacher's finish. Look at that. Yep. Don't give him a yard, mate. He'll punish you. Come on, Flori. Let's go. Look at that.
Yeah. Again,
that's a Peter Beardsley finish. That is sliding in. Go on.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's slow reactions from the ANORTHOSIS defense, and I don't want to. He's an experienced player, so you would think that he'd have a bit more difficulty getting to the ball as fast as it's traveling. But all credit to him, he gets there before the ANORTHOSIS defender, and he gets the goal, and all deserved, well deserved. And now SALAMINA fought back. I mean, they didn't even need to, because the game's a dead rubber. If only this game actually meant something.
Well, this is it. Isn't it incredible how this dead rubber game was probably the most entertaining of the weekend?
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like, these players, all they needed to do was just pass it to each other. Be like that meme from The Simpsons, where it's just the 3 players in the circle passing it to each other, and that's it. But they pulled a game out of their arse. Well done to the whole 22 players, regardless of their performance. Well done to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, look, let's move on to the next game, shall we? And that is AKRITAS earning a 2-2 draw away at APOEL. They took the lead through Gavril on 24 minutes. Then Kacha Niklic decided, well, I need to start scoring goals. So he did. 2.
Yeah.
And with how long to go? When did Torres get get the equalizer? With 17, 18 minutes to go. That was 20. Oh God, my maths is rubbish. Sorry. With 17 minutes to go, Torres equalized for AKRITAS. Now, I didn't watch this game fully. I didn't really pay too much attention to this. I'm not going to lie to you. And this isn't disrespect to Group B. I just had more things on that day, Thassos. But to be honest, mate, I think there's some interesting things that we need to bear in mind. I know AKRITAS will probably get relegated. But interestingly enough, they have the youngest average age in Cyprus. 22.8 years old is the average age. And I think this is something quite interesting. Having spoken to someone at the club, they basically said, we're trying to show that Cyprus isn't a place to come after 30 years old and finish your career. And it's a place where players can actually start their career. And as you quite rightly mentioned a few weeks ago, they sold El Jameli to Levski Sofia for over 200 grand. So they're doing something right from a developmental perspective. And I think next season is going to be a very, very interesting one for them, especially with the new money coming in from GOP and the players that they still have, and their philosophy on developing players.
Yeah. If they keep the players that they have this season, imagine a lot of these players in 2 seasons' time, if they get promoted, they'll skyrocket, because like we interviewed David Badia, he was saying that some of these players in 2, 3, 4 years time, they're going to be very, very very, very, very good players, and they need the experience. There's not much better place to get that experience than somewhere like AKRITAS, where you could say there isn't there's always the requirement to deliver a performance and to get points on the board, but they don't have the outside pressures of look, they're not performing well. This isn't happening. So it's a very, very good breeding ground for top quality players. If only they play on Oddie once in a while.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I think one of the concerns that they have at the moment is the fact that they've got 13 players either out of contract or leaving in the summer due to loans running out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we've seen, the type of players that they brought in, like, for example, Vasco Lopez, they brought him in. Who else they bring in? Juninho Carpinha is a decent player. Araujo is 24 years old. They brought him in. So look, they're clearly doing something right from a scouting perspective, which I'm sure many clubs can learn from. But at the same time, they're a club that I hope they will bounce back and do well next season. But let's quickly talk about APOEL, mate, because we're hearing rumors about potential takeovers, etc. And I don't know the full ins and outs. Again, as I said, it's just a rumor. But next season, with or without a takeover, it's got to be a massive season for them, because given the players that they signed this summer, given the weight of expectation, and especially 2 years ago when they were title challengers, I don't know if or how they can get back to that level. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? I mean, they went all out in the summer this year to get back up to that level, and the players that they brought in just haven't delivered. You're looking at somebody like Kevin Mirallas with the experience that he's had. He's had 4 goals this season, I think.
Yeah, 2 against Salamina in Group B. I don't think they signed him to score Group B goals, or Kajaniklic for that matter.
Yeah, Kajaniklic is another one where he's got 4 goals now. I think I compared him to Esselink, the defender for Olympiakos, where he's got 5 goals and he's a defender. But yeah, I think they've made, like in January, they made some good signings that aren't necessarily, the household names that, your Mirallas or your Berahino or players like that were. And I think they are more solid signings than what they did in the summer. Players like De West. I mean, De West didn't play here because he was suspended, but in defence, he's a tank. He's very, very good at controlling, like marshalling the rest of the defence. You had, they signed Romo as well from AEK, who knows the league. He's been there and he's done it. He's very, very good player. Once he gets used to the players surrounding him, obviously he's been in and out the team because of the other striking options that APOEL has. But once he's like a talisman player, which he needs to be, he will be getting you the goals that they've been missing.
Absolutely. Let's see for them next season, because I think it's a massive season for them, for the club's history. Again, we don't know what's going to happen in the summer, but at the end of the day, it's a big club. Whether rival fans like to admit it or not, APOEL are one of the biggest clubs in Cyprus. Their fan base is incredible. Okay, forget the violence, but in terms of a supporter base, they're fantastic. So for them to be where they are right now, same with ANORTHOSIS, they really shouldn't be there. But again, if there's mismanagement at the top, then it's obviously going to affect what's going on on the pitch. But anyway,
well,
let's
for
move
sure
on.
next season, I wouldn't say they'll be top.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. But speaking of mismanagement, let's talk about another game, because this is going to be another interesting one. Olympiakos beating KARMIOTISSA by 2-0. Goals from Halili and Eselik, as you mentioned, giving Olympiakos the victory, a much needed victory, but it doesn't really help them much in the grand scheme of things, given DOXA's result, which we're going to discuss in a moment. But the big story coming out of this game, another managerial change at KARMIOTISSA, with the head coach saying that he decided to resign at half time. Is that how bad their first performance was? I don't know, but yeah.
I mean, looking at the highlights of the game, kind of how the defenders had reacted, how the game was going, I would have resigned at half time as well, to tell you the truth. You know, the kind of like no, the performance was absolutely terrible from them in the first half. Was atrocious. I mean, you know, Olympiakos, God love them, they're not an attacking force, are they? But they still managed to get some very, very good chances away, and it seemed to be that, you know, the only player who was giving a crap in the back line was Spogliarits. It's like I don't understand the downfall of the motivation of these players. Maybe they think the game's done, that the league's done, and that's why they're not caring. But it's getting to the point now where, you know, they're going to get dragged into it if they're not careful.
Yeah.
This penalty, we need to talk about that penalty and how tame.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
They really needed Guerrero there to take the penalty still. But
Sally is usually reliable when it comes to that. So I don't know. But KARMIOTISSA looked like they stepped up a bit in the second half. But
exactly,
I think the frustrating thing, if you were to be one of their supporters, is that they did so well bringing in players in January, and we saw that comeback against APOLLON from being, was it 4-2 down or whatever it was. And when you look at Adelucci and you look at Malone, you look at Ben Salam, you look at Duris, Lukili, these are very, very good players. So are we going back to the same issue with, say, APOEL, for example, where if the people at the top are not leading by example, then it just, you know, rubs off on the players?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that there must be an element of player power being involved at this point now, because you can't go 7 coaches in a season, because they obviously need to find a 7th head coach. But you can't go 7 head coaches in a season. It's not real. It's not real. Like, Watford are looking at this and going, bit harsh, lads. You know, it's sorry.
The Pozzo sack another manager. The Pozzo sack another manager, and KARMIOTISSA Putin goes, hold my beer or hold my wine.
Hold my wine. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you know, there's things like Kersakov said in his interview. Like, he didn't say much. You know, it was only like 2 paragraphs, but he claimed that the atmosphere at the club confused him from the very beginning. So you remember we took the piss a little bit about how they announced him, how they brought him into the wine shop with like fruit cake and the Pangero or whatever it was that was bright orange and
the balloons,
things like that. The balloons, yeah, the mink shop. You know, of course, then he threw the whole team under the bus by blaming a completely unprofessional environment at the club and surrounding the team. So that tells me that there is definitely something wrong on the higher end, isn't there? But again,
look, at least he lasted almost 2 months.
Well, that seems to be the average for him at the moment, doesn't it?
you know what I found funny though? He got sacked, and 24 hours later, he's taking a photograph outside an aeroplane in Dubai. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's listen, right? Actually, we'll talk about it later. It's all right. We'll mention it later. But yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our next game then.
Exactly.
And DOXA beating PARALIMNI by 2-1. Sadiq scoring twice. We asked, when's he going to start scoring goals? Well, he's scoring goals at the right time when they absolutely need him. But I'll tell you this for now, mate. The signing of Ernest Asante in the summer, I know he was on loan at AEK. And okay, people are going to say, oh, well, your mates with Ernest, of course you're going to be biased. But he has made such a difference to them since becoming a regular. Well, he got a goal last week. He got an assist against PARALIMNI. And, Sadiq is actually playing really, really well at the moment. And I don't think it's any bloody coincidence that it's because of Ernest. But a well-deserved victory, in my opinion, in this game, because PARALIMNI hardly had anything.
Yeah, I don't understand that these players were not motivated or something. I don't know what had happened, because if PARALIMNI had won this, it would have done a favor to themselves, but also to AKRITAS and OLYMPIAKOS, and they would have brought KARMIOTISSA even closer into the fight. So obviously, if you've got more teams in the relegation dogfight, and there's less chance of you going down. So there should have been a motivating factor there, but it just didn't look like it was happening, did it?
No.
But yeah, I mean, if we talk about the goals, obviously the penalty, it's a penalty. The VAR, with what it is and how they review handballs now, it's a penalty. The second goal, route one, there we go, and then Santi gets to the ball after the PARALIMNI player kind of cucarelled it, drag back to Sadiq. You've got 4 PARALIMNI players in the defending box. Nobody's tracking Sadiq, and he gets his second goal of the game. It's he scored more difficult goals than that.
Yeah, and the thing is, I look at Javet on the bench, who is a decent player. And this isn't a disrespect to the players around him, because if you look at Diawara, obviously, Rusha, Miera, Yevremovic, they're good players. But then I'm thinking, Javet can make such a difference. I don't know why he isn't being selected. Even Lamy, to some extent, can do a job. So obviously, you can only play 11 players. But I look at that team, I'm thinking, bloody, Vucenovic can score goals for fun, mate, if he's given the supply. But it's almost as if they've thrown in the towel.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I don't know. I mean, this is the point of the season where you want your players to be, especially down where they are. This is where you want your players to be busting their gut for the team. And it just didn't seem like it was happening. Like some of the players looked like they were running through treacle. I don't know. I don't know what had gone on. Blame it as a bad day at the office.
Well, I'll tell you what. Right there, that goal that we just saw, Szyskowski. I don't know.
Yeah. He's an international goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He's got caps.
That. Well, so does Loria, so it doesn't mean anything. Really,
yeah. I guess so. I guess Cyprus isn't the only national team with a goalkeeper.
That's a FIFA goal, that is, though. I mean, the goalkeeper just had the glitch right there. Did it take a deflection? I can't even tell. What?
No.
Yeah, it took a deflection. No, it didn't.
Did it? No.
I don't know. It's too quick for me. I'm getting old. But
but yeah, listen, DOXA and Olympiakos right now are in form.
Yep.
Which is a problem for PARALIMNI, because if they don't start picking up points, if they don't start picking up more points from the teams around them, that's it. It's game over, isn't it? there's not much more to say about this game, really. DOXA are performing. They're doing very well. They finally turned up. Sakas has got these players performing where, the 3 or the 4 coaches that they had beforehand hadn't.
Yeah.
And,
one of them got sacked after a week? Not even that.
Yeah, 6 days.
6 days. So I don't know. But look, it's not looking good for PARALIMNI. There's 5 points difference between them and DOXA, and I know there's still plenty of games to be played, but their goal difference is minus 18 at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. When you're conceding more than you're scoring,
you lose.
It says a lot. Yeah, exactly. Well, we mentioned managerial changes, and there was another sacking. When was it? Yesterday? Was it today? It was yesterday, wasn't it? Yesterday.
It was yesterday. Yeah.
It was yesterday, and we're going to talk about it right now. And this was after OMONOIA beat PAFOS by 2-0. Besedin getting on the score sheet, breaking his goal drought of 706 days. And Hector Euster scoring his second goal in how many weeks? 3 or 4 weeks. A win for OMONOIA. And I'm not going to lie to you, mate, as an OMONOIA fan, I was a little bit concerned with our first half performance because, Bruno Mars had a great chance, which Fabi stopped. But PAFOS didn't really look too threatening. You're going to see these highlights and you might think that they did a lot more running and creating opportunities, but it wasn't as attack-minded or as threatening as it appears on the highlights. But second half, obviously, we stepped up and got the 2 goals. And the results meant that PAFOS had only won 1 game since signing Bruno Felipe and Ivosic, the goalkeeper. Close to 3 million spent on these 2 players. And Dubov pulled the trigger on Henning Berg the following day. So it looks like Salgado will take the reins, apparently, till the end of the season. I don't know where to begin with this one, Thassos. Shall we talk quickly about the game? Because,
we can talk about some of the games. Obviously, everybody looked a bit nervy at the beginning of the match. PAFOS had plenty of chances. Palacios had the ball in the net, but was offside. At least he looked offside. The highlights didn't show any VAR check or anything like that. So, but he looked offside without the lines anyway. So it's fine. Bruno had chances to win 4 games for PAFOS. Absolute disgrace. I need to jump back and talk about this highlight actually. With Ivosic, again, we're talking about internationally capped goalkeepers, and he's just cleared it to no one. It's a great header down. Besedin sees Ivosic off his line and just whacks it.
Again, he needs to be saving it. He needs to be saving that. I'm sorry.
He just needs to be saving it, obviously. Again, I think he's been caught out. He wasn't expecting Besedin to shoot. But yeah, he needed to do something about that. But basically, Ivosic cost Berg his job because we talked again and again and again. As soon as PAFOS go down in the game, they don't win. They don't. Yeah. They fought back for draws before, but they haven't had 3 points from going behind. And so OMONOIA's second goal, very quick corner routine, and then as soon you can see it straight off the training pitch, because as soon as Bezos gets the give and go back, you see Euster and like 3 or 4 other OMONOIA players go into a specific spot and just stand there and wait for the cross.
Yep.
Like you see them, they get to a spot on the pitch and they just stop moving.
Yep.
And the ball comes in.
You've got 4 PAFOS defenders on the 6-yard box.
and there it is. And then you've got Ivosic's face at the end of that as well. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Do you know what I will say though? Goalkeepers union here. What I will say though is about 20 minutes prior to the first goal, Ivosic was actually holding his hammy, his right hammy, his hamstring. He was actually sat down, and I thought he needs to go off because he can't continue. He cannot continue. So I don't know whether he made a quick recovery. I'm not sure, but again, you can point the finger at the head coach for not making a decision. But then again, Antosh.
Yeah, but I mean, Antosh would have at least been able to jump if it was the case of jumping to get to the ball. If that was an issue for Ivicic. But yeah, so I'm kind of I was going to leave like the Omonia performance to you, because obviously you went on no chuff this week.
Yeah.
So you had some things to say.
Well, I was so tired. I had a very, very long Saturday. I'm not going to go into that and bore people, but it was a long one. And I was just too tired on Sunday. And even watching the game, my adrenaline levels were so low that I said to Roy, I can't be asked to do this pod. I really can't be bothered. And to be honest, even if I did, I wouldn't have been in the right mentality, because I made notes on the game and I just tore them up at half time, because I counted 21 long balls from us in the first half. Okay, you can say that Fabi kicked 6 of them long, but 21 long balls. And it was much of the same against APOEL, it was much of the same against APOLLON. And this is what we need to get used to. But second half, I think we were more aggressive. We played the ball better. And it was only when we went a goal up, when Buffalo decided to press higher up the pitch. And that's when we obviously caught them, won the corner, scored the goal, and that was game over. Seeing Bruno Felipe miss those opportunities that he did not surprise me. It isn't me behaving like some kind of vindicated moron that is a bit braggadocious, has got a bit of schadenfreude as well, you know. But the fact is, I've always been saying he's a stat padding player. He's not a big game player. And for him to miss those opportunities did not surprise me in the slightest. As you said, it didn't surprise me that we went a goal up and Buffalo didn't come back, because they don't do that. They just don't have it in them. And look, Zairo was quiet. Is that a sign of things to come? Is that a sign of burnout? I don't know. I think Valakari was clearly their best player. And there was one challenge on Humble, which I didn't show, but it was a disgusting challenge. I think it may have been Irish. I'm not sure who actually made the challenge. I can't remember for the life of me that made the challenge. But to be honest, thinking back on it now, I saw it again last night. If the grass was maybe a centimeter shorter, that would have been a career injury. It would have been a career-ending injury. Because Humble studs would have got caught in that turf, right? If you watch the challenge again, I don't have it on here, but if you watch that challenge again, he's lucky that his foot, which was flat, went like that when the challenge came in. If the grass was thinner or shorter, his studs would have got caught in that turf and his ankle would have gone, and that'd have been it. He was very lucky. That challenge was absolutely disgusting. And the fact that the referee didn't go to VAR, it was honestly, it's criminal. Criminal. I think it might have been Hotspur, actually. I think it was Hotspur that put in that challenge.
Okay.
I think it was Hotspur. But look, overall, I can't complain. I'm still on the, Sofroni's a passion merchant flex. We've got Buffett.
Yeah? So I want to jump in here. So maybe he's a passion merchant, right? But let's rewind a little bit. If Bruno had hit the bar like he did against Ferraras or Lennon's or Omonia, do you think they'd have the same metal to go on to go get the results, or would they have gone inwards and then just invited more Pafos attacks?
You mean okay? So you mean about the goals that he scored?
It's like a psychology thing. So Bruno hits the bar like he did.
Yeah.
Do the old Omonia, like the Ferrara or Lennon, do those players' heads or Berg, or do those players' heads drop and then Pafos attack even more? So maybe so this is where I'm coming from. Maybe you need a passion merchant like Sofronis, who's got an assistant manager who knows what he's doing. Because I'll bring it back to Aston Villa. Look what Steven Gerrard did for Rangers and Villa when he had Michael Beale as his assistant, compared to when Beale left to go be his own manager. I mean,
I agree.
Gerrard knew nothing.
Don't get me wrong. The mentality of the players has always been an issue. So for Sofroni to come in and make that impact, look, I've said this before. He's not my first choice. I don't want him as our head coach, but I'm not going to sit here and say, get him out, even if we lose a game or whatever. You know, I lost my shit against for the APOEL game, which we lost, right? And the bloke wasn't even on the bench. But at the same time, the main concern I have is not the fact that we're grinding out victories. Give me 26 1-0s all season. I don't give a shit if the football is pretty. I don't give a shit if it's ugly. I don't care if we play 100 long balls. And as long as we win, that's all that matters to me. I don't care about aesthetics. It doesn't matter to me. But my main concern is, yes, he's a passionate coach. Yes, he can motivate players. And yes, we've heard various players. You know, Joel came on this pod and he said that the players will jump through walls for the guy. But my point is, when you're in a title hunt, there's only so much passion that will get you through games. There's only so much adrenaline that will get you through games. Yeah. If you do not have a plan B, right, you're not gonna be successful. And look, the victories that we had against KARMIOTISSA, against APOEL in the cup, they were smash and grab. The defeats that we've had against APOEL in the league, against APOLLON the other week, it just showed that he doesn't have a plan B. It doesn't. But again, if we're winning games, if we're going to win the cup, I don't give a shit. Like I said, I don't want him. But if we win, that's all that matters to me. I don't care. I don't care if the head coach is Mao Zedong. Well, I give a shit. Do you know what I mean? I don't care if it's Kim Jong-un. I don't care. As long as we win, I don't care. But at the same time, you know, I'm not going to be one of the people that said, oh, well, you know, I told you from the start he doesn't have a plan B, because it's repetitive. There's no point, and it's counterproductive. But anyway, it is what it is. The fact is, let's move over to Buffer. So Henningberg got his marching orders. You messaged me after the game. He's gone. I said, nah, I think they'll give him at least one more game. But fuck this. They went, nope. None. And I'm actually surprised. I shouldn't be, but I'm actually surprised.
Oh, that's psychic.
Okay.
No. Exactly. No, the thing is, right, it was because one of the things that kind of got me onto that was obviously the form they're in, but as well, you remember a couple of weeks back, there was like whispers going on, and then the press secretary had to come out and say, yes, there's been meetings, but we fully, he basically had like the dreaded vote of confidence. So if he wasn't going to get any results over the next 2-3 weeks, he was probably going to be out the door. Like, he probably argued the players are tired, they needed the rest. What better rest than an international break? Especially when out of their players who went on international duty, you know, Ivicic was one, Valakari was probably another. Like the rest of the players.
What about the two midfielders?
Name and Kane. Yeah, I think that's probably the reason why he didn't start them, because otherwise that's a really stupid selection. That was the other thing, is they didn't start. As soon as he brought them on, the game kind of changed. The game changed a little bit. But yeah, my question is then, what's next for both of them? So obviously, since I wrote these notes, it's been announced Salgado is going to be looking after the PAFOS for the rest of the season. The next thing, you sent me a thing about, they asked about Getsbaya's availability, which I think that's got to be like a 1st of April thing. That can't be real. Can you imagine Getsbaya managing this team?
Well, they had Milanic, didn't they? And he's just as bonkers. So.
But the way Getsbaya lines up is the exact opposite to the players that PAFOS have. They've got too many creative players for a Getsbaya formation. Now, Gadala is free. Maybe we send Mickey a message and ask him if send some feelers out. But yeah, I'm sure Berg as well is going to appreciate having some time off away from Cypriot football teams for a little bit.
Well, to be honest, after the result of the weekend, that means that Buffer only have one win in 8 games, and that was against AEL on the 8th of February, which is a month ago, almost.
Yeah.
Now, we know that managers have been sacked for less, But again, for them to bring in Henning Berg was ballsy. Let's get it right. To bring in Henning Berg was ballsy. Then to back him like they did in the summer, and they did in January, by spending close to 3 million. Again, ballsy. I thought that this was a club that was turning the corner in the sense of stability. And again, they've just gone back to default setting, haven't they?
Yeah. So I think it's because previously, when they were going through managers like nobody's business, was because they were expecting results without the proper investment and proper. Now they have made the proper investment, so obviously they're expecting the results from that investment, which they're not getting. The press secretary said that the EGC, the chairman, the directors, believe that they've got a team there that can win the league. And when you look at the names, and the stats for this team, they are a team that can win the league. And for some reason, something's happened since January. I mean, the only thing that I can think of is that transfer window. They made these signings, and maybe that's ballsed up the chemistry of the team. I don't know, because not only are they not scoring, but they're not defending properly anymore either.
No, they're not. And there have been some questionable team selection, like Igogo sitting on the bench. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's form, injury. I don't know. But this is a club that a few months ago we were saying, they could actually mount a serious title charge. Now they're what, 10 points behind APOEL?
Yeah,
10 points, and they're fourth place. They might not even make Europe.
They have to win the cup.
Yeah, they have to. So look, stranger things have happened, and there is a chance that they can obviously bounce back. But the way that they are right now, without a head coach, sacking Henning Berg, and there's no one mentioned. Okay, obviously Salgado is the name that the papers and the websites are saying that will take over, but the OMONOIA game is on Thursday, right? So as the viewers are watching it, it's Wednesday. So if anyone was to come in now, they'll have 2 days to prepare. I think one of the assistants is going to take charge. Is he Slovenian, the Slovakian? I think he came in the summer to be one of the assistants with Sogolovsky. So I think he's going to take charge for the game. But you know how it works in Cyprus. It's very rare that a caretaker manager or a temporary manager can actually turn things round and make a team play. We saw, Vesko Mihailovic do kind of well with ANORTHOSIS when he first took charge, but they've fallen off.
Yep.
How many more temporary coaches have actually made any difference since when they come into a club?
Ask every Karmiotissa coaches.
Well, this is it. So it's one step forward, 2 steps back with Buffalo, and for a club that appears to be on the rise and making serious inroad with their marketing and their social media, what's happening on the pitch isn't reflecting what should be happening as a club. And I actually fear for a lot of their fans, because to make a decision like this at this stage of the season, anyway, it is what it is. Well, look, we've got how many more games to discuss now? One more? No, two. What am I talking about? We've got two more. Okay, so we're going to discuss ARIS beating APOLLON 1-0 at the Alpha Mega Arena. No rain, which means no floodings. Zoke with the winner. ARIS are in contention for the title, and we said it. Give them a chance, and they will grab it with both hands. It wasn't an entertaining game. It was a hard-fought victory. APOLLON had a few chances, but ARIS's victory means they are now 2 points behind APOLLON. In fact, going into this game, they closed the gap to 1 point, didn't they? But we'll go into the APOLLON game afterwards. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say about this game, to be honest, man. I didn't watch the whole thing, unfortunately. But given the highlights, it did seem that APOLLON worked hard and fought very, very hard. But ARIS stout defensively, very resolute, very stubborn. Vanna Alves making some fantastic saves, and what a goalkeeper and what a signing he's proved to be. But Zoke is another player, mate, who scored the winner, who goes under the radar when it comes to most improved players, I believe, anyway.
Yeah, he's the kind of player that I like. He gets on with the job at hand. I'll let other players take the plaudit. He does. He performs very, 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 very well. He's a great player. The thing I wanted to say about this game was it was a bit of a strange one, because with ARIS you don't necessarily associate this ARIS team with resolute defending. They're obviously the way Shpilevsky normally works is the best form of defense is attack. So, which is why you end up with a lot of high-scoring games, because you just need to score more than your opponent to win a game. But in this game, all fair play to them. I thought the kind of the ugly win doesn't really come from ARIS normally, but so it's good to see for ARIS as well that they're getting to get these ugly wins in as well. Rather, you can win or lose with the best football in the world, but you need to have that grit as well. And they showed a lot of grit against Apollon, because it looked like they were under the cosh for quite a lot of the game. Players like Van Alves, like Joker, like quite a lot of their defense, really, you could see in a lot of the highlights, like a lot of blocks going in, players throwing their bodies on the line, which you don't see as much, because ARIS, well, the way they perform normally, the way they play normally is super fast attacking, get overload, which, to fair play to Apollon, managed to stifle. And they needed the plan B, and the plan B was, okay, we're going to work really, really hard and force that one opportunity to get that goal in. And the thing that was probably missing from ARIS to say, like, yeah, this is a team that's going to win the league, is that kind of like when it's not working for you, you dig in, you build your trench, and you say, come on, let's be having you. And they weren't doing that before, but they proved in this game that they can also do that. And that one, you could say, weakness that they probably had is that they've definitely worked on it. And you could see in this game, they had the backs against the wall, and they got the result that they needed. And that's a title-winning team.
Yeah. And the thing is, what we need to bear in mind is, back to Joker, right? This lad has practically been an ever-present for him this season. And he's played alongside the likes of Struski, Jablonski, Brown, and he's made that central midfield role his own. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Spoljaric may have been in that position had it not been for injury or whatever. But, the lad's come in, Zoke, and as I said, he's made that central midfield role his own. But again, he's another one of those players where he goes under the radar because he's not this glamorous, box-to-box midfielder that has got, a 20-yard diagonal ball in him that's right on the money. But he works hard, he does the basics right, and he scored some important goals. I mean, that goal against Buffalo away, and coming up with a goal like that at the weekend, albeit a flicked header. This team has got all the tools required to win the title when they're hitting form at the right time. And I don't know when they face APOEL. I'm not sure whether it's next week or the week after. But that will be a game and a half, mate. I tell you, it's going to be back and forth.
Yep. I mean, if APOEL and AEK are crapping themselves, and rightly so.
Yeah.
Rightly so. Yeah. They're only 2 points off the top now. No, they're the team in form as well, because AEK, their form has been patchy at best. APOEL's form hasn't been great either right now. ARIS is scary.
Yeah. Well, look, let's move over to the next game, which is another derby. AEK fighting back to draw 2-2 against APOEL. you know when they say game of two halves, this is practically what it was. First half, APOEL were ruthless. They were all over AEK. They went a goal behind, but they fought back to score twice from Gvilitaya. But second half, it was just all AEK. It was non-stop, frenetic football. And I know we're going to go into Belic now, Thassos, because
oh my God.
When I saw the goal, you're the first person I thought of. He needs to be saving that. How does that ball go through your body? I don't understand.
It's lag. It's lag on fever. That's what it is.
I don't want to shit on the guy. Again, Goalkeepers Union. I don't want to shit on him. But that, for me, mate, it's unacceptable. And when these mistakes happen from your goalkeeper, okay, I know it's a cliche, but when your goalkeeper is making these mistakes, how does that fill your defenders with confidence? Because we know that APOEL are very, stout defensively. The defensive record speaks volumes. But as you quite rightly said a few weeks ago, it's not because the goalkeeper's been great. It's because his back line's been brilliant. And it's almost as if all you need is a half chance against APOEL now, because this goalkeeper makes mistake after mistake. In fact, I don't know if we pointed it out, the OMONOIA goal the other week, that he bloody slipped for Panayot's header. So I don't know. This is very sticky. From 3 draws in a row for APOEL. Their leader slipped to 2 points, as you quite rightly said. But they must feel that these were 2 points dropped, surely.
Yeah. I think it's more they shouldn't be they shouldn't be conceding when they did. Again, they seem to be conceding in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Again.
Yeah, exactly. But they did get the equalizer, at least, like almost straight away here. So they're Gvilitaya is another one of these players that seems to be hitting form now in the second phase of the championship, which obviously is great for him, because it wasn't coming for him in the first phase. I think the draws that have been coming in for APOEL as well, as they've been missing, like Makeda hasn't been in the team, Ben has not been in the team. So they've had some leaders. Kostadinov has been he's out now, isn't he?
He hasn't been playing, so
Wheeler's been injured. There's all kinds of injuries that have been going on. But yeah, go back to kind of go and talk through the game. So Gyorsko is back for AEK, and as soon first game he's back, he gets a goal straight away.
Yep.
So I think one of the reasons why they had this drop off is because obviously Gyorsko had the injury, and they missed. Whilst Jakolis was doing, he was probably the only bright spark in the team for the last couple of months for AEK. Gyorsko brings them something completely different. He's basically Farage on the left. So Farage puts the cross in, Gyorsko scores. That's what it is. Now, talked about Gvilitaya. There's at one point,
that's a great header, by the way.
Both Gvilitaya's goals are the same technique. So
both from the left-hand side.
Yeah, waits for the cross to come in. And just gets in front of the player, just like at the last minute. The first goal he scores is with his leg. The second one is with his head. There's actually in the notes, if you have a look, I paused it when Ferrara crosses the ball in the highlight. It looks like that cat meme. The one where it's kind of bending around, and but anyway. So it's 2-1, and then the second half starts, and AEK gone absolutely crazy again. Gyorsko goes on this amazing run. He's unlucky not to score.
Well, he should have shot instead of taking the extra touch. I don't know.
He should have gone in a bit earlier. Again, unlucky. A free kick, very very close again. And then I think at one point, I think you were saying Farage goes off injured because of he bangs his head into an advertising hoarding.
Yeah.
And then Naum comes on, which is this, another Cypriot under-21 player. And Naum comes on, and then for the equaliser, just goes. I don't know where he pulls his pass from, but it's like it comes from nothing, and then gets the. And then Trzaskowski just needs to
Is this a penalty for you? I need to ask you, is this a penalty?
Yeah, it's a penalty. Yeah. This is a penalty. It is,
It's Garo's right leg, isn't it? It's his right leg that trips Farage. It's the right leg. And the commentators, I don't see anything wrong with it. Or it's his right leg, mate. Now, could you argue that Farage was actually going down before the contact was made, though? Could you argue that?
I mean, you see him, not necessarily he's going down before the contact is made, but he knows the contact's been made, and he kind of flings himself onto the floor.
Yeah.
Like you see kind of his legs stretch out, and then he lands. So that might have been something against him, but either way, it should have been a penalty. But
It was that threat from wide areas again, and I'm pretty sure APOEL will be pissed off with the way that they conceded the equaliser, because again, Naum should not have been given the time and space to turn and deliver a ball like that. And Trzaskowski, with the experience, gets in front of the defender, and again, this is the typical ball watching that we're used to seeing in Cyprus. Again, Milojevic must be having kittens with the way that they concede this goal, because it starts from nowhere. They've got two men around the right back. No one cuts in, and look at Trzaskowski. He's on his own. It's terrible. It's terrible. And I think that the blame has to go to Susic there for not tracking him.
Yep. I mean, I've been a big admirer of Susic this season. I think he's better than Chebak in that position.
Oh yeah.
but yeah, there's no excusing the just leaving Trzaskowski to just do what he wanted to do in that far into the box as well. I think, well, it's a great cross from Naum as well. Like he shouldn't be like to have the vision to put the ball across there from where he was. I think is really.
But you know what? And this isn't me like denigrating what Naum's performance was and what his contribution was, but it just seems to me that the system is just put it across the face of the goal, and you might get a deflection, or you might have someone on the end of it, because they've always got runners. We know this. We've been talking about this all season. But
I think if it works.
Well, if it works, it works, and I've got no complaints whatsoever. But this is just me playing.
Again, if it gets them the wins, I think it's more. It's more they, we've been talking about coaches having a plan B, and Ultra has been proven, obviously, with the form that they've been in since January, that a plan B isn't necessarily there, and they need that plan B. They need it, because if they crowd out, if a team crowds out the wings, like some of the teams have been doing when they've been playing against AEK, if that happens, they barely have chances. Never mind have enough of them to get goals in. They just don't have chances. And they keep having to take pot shots from 30 yards out that go, they go out the stadium. It's a problem. He needs that plan B. Saying that, he's got Gyosko back.
Yeah.
He's got Farage. Okay, Farage. I don't know if he's going to be out or not for next game because of the injury sustained. But if he's getting his main attacking players back, then we should see a resurgent AEK. Now, the AEK from 2-3 weeks ago probably would have lost that game.
Yeah.
But something's changed now, and they seem to have upped a level again. Maybe they needed to go out of the international
Europe.
breaks, or maybe there's no more Europe again. So there's a concentration on the league now, back on the league again. So maybe that's sorted them out. So maybe we're going to start seeing AEK go up as well.
Possibly. Well, a couple of things before we wrap it up. First of all, we've got some viewer questions, which we can just fly past because quite a few of them, but let's just fly past them. Angelos asks, should APOLLON stay with Bogdan for next year?
I mean, he's proving to be a shrewd operator, isn't he? I mean, he managed to basically cancel out ARIS's game plan, which is how they normally attack. So even though they didn't get the results that they would have wanted, he still had something in place to cancel out what ARIS would normally do. So, I mean, if he keeps getting the results and the performances that he keeps getting out of these players, then why not?
Well, they seem happy with him there anyway, so there's no point in making any drastic changes. So, yeah, anyway. Michael says, how many managers have KARMIOTISSA had this season, and is it a record?
I mean, it must be a record, right? They're obviously, so Kersakov was number 6.
Yeah.
So they obviously have to put somebody in for number 7 regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, BERG is free. They've gone through everybody else. Obviously BERG is asking for a 2-year contract, and KARMIOTISSA want to offer on a game-by-game basis.
Yeah.
So conversations continue.
Okay. Alexander asks, which team would benefit the most by signing BERG as their manager? Which team would benefit most? It's a good question. It's a very good question.
It'll be whoever's leaking goals, wouldn't it?
I guess. Well, I think it depends on a lot of things, really. It depends on if they're going to back him in the transfer window, if they're going to give him a long-term contract, if the facilities are good enough, if he's able to bring in his own people. I think APOEL would benefit.
Yeah.
I think APOEL would, but Janeski would have a claim to say, well, we have come back from being a goal down and to get results. So
yeah,
I don't know. So that's a difficult one. That's a very, very difficult one. Anyway, Mario asks, do you believe that if AEK lose their next game, they sack Oltra? Also, with APOEL, if they lose to APOLLON, will they sack Milojevic?
Milojevic, I think, has
he's safe, isn't he?
Yeah, he's earned a certain amount of loyalty. So maybe 2 games. They'll lose 2 games. He'll be gone. Ultra, I mean, we've seen Roca kind of ring the bells on other managers that have gone through this type of patchy form. Catala being one of them. Was it last season? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, before the end, and then they brought Badian. So, Roca isn't somebody who is very pragmatic. But again, it maybe we're talking about ifs and maybes, but
yeah. Well, AEK have got Buffer next, so that was an interesting, But I think if I'm not mistaken, Cisco Munoz is still in Cyprus. I think he's still out there. I think.
Well, yeah. Because the interview, he said he was still in Cyprus when when they interviewed him after he got sacked.
And since his severance hasn't been arranged with ANORTHOSIS, I'm guessing that he's able to talk to other clubs. So watch this space. Next question from Stylianos 1. Can Buffer benefit from BERG's dismissal, or will we see a setback? That's a good question. because we know about the new manager bounce. But I guess it just depends on who comes in to replace Berg and what kind of system or style he plays, because we know that Buffalo have the players to play attack-minded football, but they've had the handbrake up for a long time. So will they bring in a coach that plays that pragmatic style, or will they have someone that just goes all out?
Yeah, for instance, we spoke about the rumor of them asking the Cyprus FA about Getsbayer. If Getsbayer was going to be in that team, there would be a lot of unhappy players because they wouldn't have a position in that team. You know, who do you get rid of out of Valakari, Hestad, Gyro, Bruno? I'm just trying to think of some more off the top of my head. But there's three of those 4 players wouldn't be playing on the Aspire. So
well, there you go. Final question. Peter Milovanovic says, would you accept the idea of limiting the change of head coaches during the season? In Serbia, the situation is very similar as far as replacements are concerned, only that the same coaches have been around for 10 years. So would you accept the idea of limiting the change of head coaches during the season? So I'm guessing like the same with players. Players can't play for more than 2 clubs in a calendar year. I think it would be a good idea because you're giving coaches time to implement their style, But then again, if you look at, say, for example, Lennon at Omonia, his position was untenable. If you look at, various coaches this season who you say that they're going to be out the door soon, aren't they? They're going to be out the door. So I think it's very, it's a loaded question with lots of ifs and buts, but I'd be open to that. I'd be very open to that because as we've seen other clubs, they've stuck with their head coaches despite the bad results. Bursa, for example, he hasn't had a phenomenal season. They went through a bad run of form, but yet they stuck by him. So I think it will be a good idea. Maybe say you can only have 2 coaches or 3 coaches a season max.
Yeah. But I don't think you get agreement from the teams for that because, I mean, even if you look at, let's not look at KARMIOTISSA for a second. Let's look at AKRITAS. They're on their 3rd coach of the season.
Yeah.
APOLLON are on their
4th
coach of the season. There's a few teams that have, ANORTHOSIS went through 2 coaches in half a season before they landed on who they landed on at the end.
I think the other thing we need to consider is the fact that we shouldn't really be talking about limiting the number of managers or coaches. We can't even get the fucking number of Cypriot players in the team right. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So Vrionides every week, well, obviously people who follow my Twitter know, Vrionides every week keeps finding PAFOS, ARIS, KARMIOTISSA, sometimes APOEL, and AEK is always fined as well for not fielding the minimum amount of Cypriot players on the pitch. The minimum is 2. So it's not even like a big number, like you could say 5 or 6. You'd be like, well, it's a bit difficult to get a title with. It's just 2 of them. PAFOS have only just started playing 1 of them. That Dimitriou has played like 2 or 3 games now.
So yeah.
So it's a problem. It's a problem. But yeah, is there any more questions?
That's it.
So I've had a question that was sent to me privately for reasons that will be clear. So I've had somebody send me a message asking about the how the authorities are going to enforce any rules that come through because of all the issues that have been happening in the basketball as well and things like that. How would they enforce a rule or laws that they put together when there are people able to get into games without having a ticket? And the reason this person has asked me this question is because they stated that they were able to get into a game this last match day without a ticket because they knew somebody at the gate.
Yep.
Now, that's a very good question. I don't have an answer for it because I don't need to search you. It's fine.
Yep.
I know you. You're my friend. If you've got 10 security personnel working at a gate, a stadium, and each 10 of them know a guy who wants to get into the game without a ticket, then you've got 10 people getting into the game without a ticket, right? Now, if you've got a big game, let's talk about, like, I don't know, if you've got APOLLON versus AEL, for example, and you need lots of security at the game because, chair tennis and setting fire to stadiums and the rest of it. If you've got 30, 40 security people working, you're then going to have 30, 40 people getting in without tickets. And obviously, the more people get in without tickets, the more chance there is of those people not being searched. And therefore, there's more chance of those people bringing in stuff that they're not supposed to bring into a stadium. And thus, it continues.
Well, this is a problem that I wouldn't say only occurs in Cyprus, because I'm sure it occurs in various nations. But it goes back to what we've been discussing all season about security, about following the rules and the guidelines. What's to say that there aren't fans who have been banned from matches that have been able to get in because they know someone on the door, so to speak?
Yeah.
This happens a lot, and it's not just in football. Like nightclubs, for example. How many times have you been to a club and you know a doorman or a bouncer, and they just like usher you in? Don't worry about it, mate. These things happen, but it's only magnified when a problem occurs, and that's when they do an investigation. And as you know, in Cyprus, they'll do an investigation, they'll get the police involved, and within a few days, that's it.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any way to do it from a manual perspective. One of the ways you can do it, and that'll cost them money, is to implement the technological side of things and have like a barcode where you scan to go in, like some Premier League stadiums have and various stadiums around the world. But this is Cyprus. They're not going to think about that. That'll be the last thing on their minds. It'll be the last thing. Because if you do that, then you have to find a way to implement a system where they have to scan their gata filatu, right? And fans don't like it anyway. So you can imagine having that scanned. And then there's the other issue of, well, you can always like forward it as a PDF to someone and say, well, here's my match day ticket, here's my gata filatu. Like, you can just scan it and pretend it's me, and then you've got fraud. So
yeah, which
you can't.
Happens.
Yeah.
Happens a lot. So no, you're right. It's a societal thing. It's and it's much more than what we can do here. All we can do is bring it up and make people who need to be aware of it.
Yeah. Anyway, one more thing from me. Anyway, I don't know if there's anything else that you want to touch on. But
well, I mean, we're talking about the stadium stuff. We might as well bring up, the louts at the Thassos Stadium. Like, I don't want to be.
So I'm glad I'm not doing the BFBS football show on Thursday, because I'd be talking about that. And
yeah, exactly. It's because I don't understand, like, what. It's football, guys. Calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Basically, some AHNA fans got into the Thassos with explosive devices, and they were throwing it at Othello's Athieno people. So, two of these explosive devices. So one of them hit the vice president of Othello's, and another one hit a 15-year-old. Now, 3 people have already been, 3 people got arrested for this. They've been fined €500 each, and a curfew has been imposed on them by Cypriot courts. Now, because it happened at the Lasagi Stadium, the British bases courts have also needed to get involved. Now, I've not been able to find out what exactly the British bases courts have decided yet. Although I'm sure by the time this is released, we will know. But yeah, it's calm the fuck down, guys. It's second division football, for fuck's sake. I know Achna might get promoted and everything, but Jesus Christ.
I don't understand it. Is there even a rivalry between the two teams? Is there something that is
the only thing that there is that Afieno is like a 15-minute drive from Achna.
Right.
They're both very close to the green line.
So it's just foolishness. Foolishness.
I really like. I hope. No, I don't hope. But Vrionidis, I hope, woke up this morning and was like, 5 point points deduction, something like that. Achna then have a very, very difficult time in getting promoted.
Yeah.
And then somebody pays.
Yeah.
Because nobody seems to be paying for this stuff happening in the stadiums. So they've got to hit the teams. They've got to hit the teams that these fans, in inverted commas, that these fans support. If they don't start hitting the teams properly, then the teams won't give a shit and be like,
no. Yeah. Do you know what? And the worst thing about it is it's something that we keep on saying, yeah, that they're only going to do something when someone dies. And it's disgusting because it's a fact, though. It's an utter fact. And it's a shame. And you got a lad, that just went to go see his team play, and he almost didn't come home. Like that. It's stupid, man. It's fucking stupid. It's just fucking stupid.
Yeah. Yep.
And what makes it even worse? What makes it even worse is that Cyprus is a fucking small place. Everyone knows each other. Like you might be harming a relative's nephew or another relative's relative. It's bonkers, man. It's fucking bonkers. That's what I said. Calm the fuck down, man. Jesus. Anyway, bro, a couple very quick things I wanna mention. AKRITAS are doing a prize giveaway for those of you that are on Instagram. As you can see there, if you participate in the draw, you could get matchday tickets and other prizes, being t-shirts, football shirts, scarves, etc. And as you can see right here, the conditions: give them a follow on Instagram, like that particular post and share it, and write the comment, "I will go to the game." We can't, obviously, because we're not in Cyprus.
Yeah.
And answer the questions in their stories, and the prize will be announced on the 6th, which is the next day from when this is released, because we're releasing this on Wednesday and the draw is on the Thursday. So that's it. That's all you need to do. And one final thing from me, and this is something that we haven't done in a few weeks, and I slapped myself. Naughty boy. You said bolare naughty Stel. It's the league table.
Yeah.
APOEL top on 62 points. ARIS second on 60. AX slipped down to third, 58 points. Then you've got Buffer, APOLLON, and my little OMONOIA in 6th place. Don't look like we're going anywhere, but hey, we're still in the cup. And the relegation group, as you can see, AKRITAS, unfortunately, bottom of the table, 14 points. I think that's it for them. We've been saying it for ages. Fucking 8 points adrift from OLYMPIAKOS. Then you've got PARALIMNI and DOXA. Now, I don't think AL will go down. I thought KARMIOTISSA were going to stay up, but if by some chance they find a head coach and they stick with him, they might actually survive. I think DOXA will be safe, but it looks, mate, that PARALIMNI, OLYMPIAKOS, and AKRITAS are the 3 teams that will go down. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I want to see Olympiakos do better, but obviously because Joel deserves better than that, because his performances for Olympiakos as well have been 95% of the time fantastic. Yeah. Obviously, there was the one game where I hadn't seen the highlights beforehand, where I lost control. but apart from that, his performances have been great, and I really hope that they avoid it. Obviously, by putting the performances in, they can bring KARMIOTISSA into the conversation as well. But yeah, I'm just looking at the fixtures for next week as well, just to see if there's any spicy ones. So there's APOEL versus APOLLON. That's a big one. And then we've got Olympiakos versus PARALIMNI as well down at the bottom. So obviously, any team that gets a result between those two, a draw helps neither of them. They both need to win that game. And whoever wins that game is going to have an easier time of it, because DOXA have got to play now SALAMINA.
Yeah.
And we've shown that, we've seen it. Am I looking at the right the DOXA?
DOXA play AKRITAS.
Yeah, DOXA play AKRITAS. So AKRITAS, if they've got any chance to do anything, they need to get a result there. And if they get a result there, and Olympiakos or PARALIMNI wins, that's DOXA back in it again.
Well, next week's show will probably be, or it'll definitely be on Tuesday. It'll be after probably no Choftes, because OMONOIA face ARIS on Tuesday. So it'll be no Choftes live, and then this is Mappa, which will be recorded and put out on the Wednesday. So that's it from me. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say, Thassos.
No, just be good to each other.
Yes,
that's all I want to say. Be good to each other.
Take care of yourself and each other.
Exactly. APOEL fans, OMONOIA fans, be like fucking. But at the end of the day, it's football, man.
Exactly. Get a guitar, go to the beach and sing Kumbaya. That's all.
Exactly. Exactly. Hug it out.
That's it. Right. Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at This Is Mappa. Follow Thassos at Fles Cafes. And until next week, as Thassos said, be nice to be good. No, sorry. Be nice and be nice. Oh, you know what I mean? Just be nice. Take care of yourself and each other. Be nice. It's nice to be important, but more important to be nice, motherfuckers.